this particular report comes from the Canadian Press, and it says the report shows the economic case for high immigration, but warns of housing trade-offs. And so essentially what this article is saying is that there's an immediate trade-off because we don't have enough housing. So this is really putting a strain on the housing structure and system and driving that inflation. But the report said, and it's a report from Desjardins, and it was released on Monday, it said that it finds that the working age population would have to grow by 2.2% per year through to 2040 to maintain the same ratio that existed in 2022. And I mean, Drea, is this surprising to you when we're told basically like don't have babies and save the planet?
Yeah, exactly. I'm reminded of those bus stop posters that were put up down in the Lower Mainland that said the best thing you can do for your child is not have another one. One minute we go from let's save the world from climate change by not having enough children to we need more children, but don't have children, or we need more people, but don't have children of your own. Instead, let's have people in that we don't have the housing structure for right now. So yeah, it is. It does definitely contradict a few things. And I wonder how this is going to play out. They've got lots of things here in this report that is, I guess, supporting that narrative. But what will happen if we keep having so many people come? Will we see what's happening in other countries start to come in Canada? And of course, everybody is experiencing the spike in inflation. I just had a birthday party for my son. I couldn't believe the bill. Like that was probably the most obvious inflation has been to me. I knew my grocery bills have gone up, but hosting the regular party that you do for your kids at your house, I was like, whoa, that was a big difference.
Yeah, literally everything across the board. Like it's not just specific to food, supplies, clothing, shoes, everything has gone up. And then also in the grocery store, they're hiding the inflation by just marking the price up, 50 cents, $1.50, so on and so forth, but also shrinking the packaging so that you're not as privy to the inflationary rate. But I just want to highlight this quote here by Randall Bartlett, who's a Desjardins Senior Director of Canadian Economics. And he says, I feel like, and so that always gets me because I want to prioritize thoughts instead of feelings, right? But anyway, he says, I feel like the discussion around immigration levels in Canada, by and large, focuses on the immediate impact on the Canadian housing market. And it's like, okay, yes, because we have a homeless crisis. First-time home buyers will never, I don't know how anyone is buying a house in this market and trying to get into the market if you're not already a well-established home owner or have equity, so on and so forth. The young people, like if you're in your late teens, early 20s, mid 20s, trying to get into this market, I'm sorry, it's impossible. And I feel for them. And so this is definitely the immediate impact that we need to have a discussion about, because looking down to 2040 and how the trade-off is, I guess, going to make sense at that point, as we're told in Canada, Canadians don't have babies. Canadians don't keep that population going. I obviously completely disregard that advice, but we need to bring in, people from other countries to offset that. Well, that's down the road in 2040. We do have an immediate crisis at hand here, and it needs robust discussion and some solutions, because opening the floodgates obviously isn't working, and it's damaging those of us here at home.
Yeah, exactly. It is, you've hit it on the nail with everything there. And I think we're just going to have to see how it goes. I want to mention renting too, because there's a lot of people who can't even afford to rent in this area. I'm seeing that families are coming together and renting homes together. And it's still outrageous. So you're right. It's very grim looking for the future of our young ones. And then we're saying, come, we need you to come here. We don't know where you're going to stay. Maybe there's some shelters. We can start to see what happened in New York start to happen in the areas here where the homeless is being displaced. And I know we're covering a lot of this topic. Is it called migrantreports.com, our website?
Migrant reports, but then also we'll be, I think, launching a new one either today or tomorrow to discuss what's happening at home with the homeless, because as you mentioned, they're being displaced by the migrants coming over who also have nowhere to go and nowhere to live. And I'm also talking about seasoned, well-educated professionals here. There are doctors, surgeons, nurses, engineers, people who have robust backgrounds and education who are coming over here on the promise of having a better life, on the promise of having employment opportunities. And then they come and they have nowhere to go. There's no resources. The next step hasn't been arranged politically, right? It's just come to Canada. Everybody's welcome here. Thanks, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. And then when you get here, there's nothing. There's nothing prepared. The red tape stands in the way. We actually have a clip here from just 2 days ago from Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, because we see, I think it's 50% of the amount of immigrants that come to Canada come to Ontario, and then they're further condensed and siphoned into southeastern Ontario, because that's where we have the largest kind of economic growth happening in the country, and northern parts of Ontario. It's a harsher climate, not as much work and economic activity happening up there. So we see a large concentration of immigrants coming into this small pocket of southeastern Ontario. And Premier Doug Ford recently gave some remarks on that. We have a quick clip that we'll share with you here.
So the feds, number one, have to pay up the city of Toronto, and this is where myself and the mayor I agree 100%. They owe the city of Toronto $150 million. And I can't even put a number on the expense that we've done through education and healthcare and so on and so forth. So if you bring new people in, that I've been encouraging them, by the way, to bring new people in because we need to fill the 300,000 jobs, you have to step up and you have to give them working permits. Like that is shelters number one, working permits are number two. And so I'm going to be all over the federal government to make sure that they get these people back on their feet. You can't just drop people and say, okay, we're all done. It doesn't work that way. We need to work collaboratively all together.
Yeah, there's the Justin Trudeau Liberal policies in action.
Yeah. How many of those 300,000 jobs are displaced healthcare workers who are unvaccinated? And what about programs where, perhaps you can work on training some of your own citizens to take some of these jobs? I know in British Columbia, their solution to the nursing shortage is to lessen the amount of time it takes for a foreign nurse to come here, and to also put millions into attracting them to come. But it's still a process that's going to take many years. Meanwhile, you have some young adults whose parents haven't been able to pay for their post-secondary schooling. What if you put some of that money into training our ready, capable, and willing young adults to becoming nurses and filling those gaps as well, right? So.
Yeah, we do have a similar program in place, but it's been also heavily criticized because people don't want fast-tracked nurses. You need that robust experience. You need that hands-on, tangible clinic work to gain the expertise and the experience to deal with emergencies as they happen, especially in an emergency department. So I don't think there's any sort of quick fix, easy solution here, but obviously this hasn't been well thought out. And as we see with, ambiguously worded legislation repeatedly coming down from the provincial or the federal Liberals, this is just a piece in the puzzle that wasn't thought out. And now here we are, the taxpayers really get to bear the burden of these failed policies, while we also try to navigate this skyrocketing inflation, the housing crisis. I mean, it literally just goes on and on what we have to deal with. And we pay so much into taxes for these social safety nets, and then they're not even working. It's extremely frustrating to see as a hardworking Canadian who is a taxpayer.
That's a clip from something we call Rebel News Daily. It's our daily live stream hosted by my friend David Menzies, but the show also includes a rotating cast of hosts and special guests, including me. It's a great way for us to talk about the news of the day as the news is happening in an unscripted fashion, and it's an awesome way for you to interact with us as well. We stream every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Mountain, wherever you find Rebel News. See you there.